Hey, what's up, folks? My name is Ashanti, and I'm a teacher. Our work was featured in a documentary, The Mask You Live In. My work has been featured on CNN, on the Kelly Clarkson show. I think I have something that you may want to hear. 5 things I want to share with you about what you can do this first week, first month of school, ideally the first day, to really begin building connection with your students are as follows. Here's number 1. How are you doing? I think sometimes we underestimate the question, how you're doing. You know why? Because many times how you're doing is a greeting and not a question. I don't know that you actually have time to walk around and ask every student how you're doing and wait for a lengthy response. But I think that we need to make sure that there's time in our days that every kid gets heard from. That we have asked students how you're doing, they know when we really mean it, and we begin to use that question only when we're gonna stop and listen. Because guess what? If we say I'm fine and you keep moving, then maybe I've got clear about how this interaction happens. You ask me a question that doesn't mean anything, I give you an answer that doesn't mean anything, and we keep it pushing to the next encounter. What I'm hoping you will do is begin to find the right question for the right students who will let them know that you want to see them as more human than you see them as a student of a subject. Building connections. How you're doing. 2, let them get to know you. Who are you when you're not teaching? How many times I've met students who would come in my class, I'm trying to get prepared for the lesson, they're asking me a bunch of questions. I think they're being nosy. Hey, why are you asking me about my weekend? Did you see me somewhere? Why are you asking me what I did? Did one of your uncles, parents, cousins see me somewhere? And many times they were just trying to figure out, are you human? Do you live in this classroom? Do you not have anything else outside of this subject that you only think about all the time? And usually on the weekends, I was having a good time as much as I could, but I didn't want to tell students about that. It wasn't their business. I'm not here to talk to you about my life. I'm here to teach you math. And it wasn't until I began to learn that, and Natasha is the student who did it. Natasha would always come in asking me 1,000 questions in the morning before school while I'm trying to prepare for the lesson. And I'm like, Natasha, why are you asking me so many questions? And she was like, well, I just want to get to know you. Like, what are you not when you're not teaching? And I almost had a boundary between I only teach. That's what you're supposed to see me as when you walk in this room. I'm a math genius. I love math. I will teach you math. And Natasha was that student who was like, tell me something about you. And from then on, I began to recognize that students sometimes, not all of them, some of them could care less what you do. But some of them, they're not gonna learn from you if they don't have a relationship from you. That's number 2. Who are you? Number 3, does the room feel welcoming to students? Listen, in India, students own the classrooms. Why am I bringing up India? Because I taught in India. I taught in India for a year. Listen, students own the classrooms. Teachers have a little teacher's lounge down there. You got a little desk and you sit in with all the other teachers. Here in the US, in most schools, the teacher owns the room. So when students are walking in, they're walking into your space. Do they feel welcome there? Can they touch things that are in there? Does the place feel like it? Is there any life in there? In my room, we had plants all the time. Plants, small plants, big plants, plants. I like plants. We had a couch in my room. Now, how do you make a couch fit? Well, you gotta make some desks feel a little tighter, but the couch was a place that sometimes students needed a moment just to decompress. I don't want to send you to the office to decompress because you don't need to be in the office. I need you here. So go sit on the couch. Sometimes you need a nap, go sit on the couch. I'm gonna give you 10 minutes, go take a nap. And sometimes that's all they needed. After that 10 minutes, you go over, hey, you ready to come back? Now give me 5 more minutes. And sometimes if you could get a 5-minute nap, 10-minute nap in the middle of the day, it may make you even a better teacher. But I don't know that a couch is the thing. I don't know that the plant is a thing, but does the classroom feel like students are welcome there? Like they are there to be learning with you? That's number 3. Does the room feel like it's welcoming? Number 4 is creating a classroom where failure is accepted, respected, inspected, and then corrected. How would you have a classroom where failure is welcome? And this one may be a little harder because, we teach in an environments that sometimes we have a responsibility that's way bigger than our abilities. We're almost like asked to diagnose 25, 30 students at the same time. We're asked to know what their challenges are academically. We're asked to give them a plan individually that's gonna serve their needs. And when they don't do it, we get blamed. So how can you connect to each student individually? Now, it may be hard, the big description I gave you in the beginning, to do that, because guess what? Every student is different and unique. Every student is gonna have different needs. Some students just want you to sit there while they do the work, and you're like, I don't have time to watch you do the work. Do the work. I'm gonna walk away, I'm gonna go help somebody else. But guess what? What if that student's language of connection is time? What if their language of connection is you like seeing them do the work and affirming them, positive words of affirmation? Now, you may have heard this in a book called Love Languages. Now, obviously that book was about multiple things. It's not just about the romantic love. It's like, we all have a love language. Do you know your students' language of connection? I have a hard time trying to say love language with students, right? Because it can feel a little awkward. So let me try and reframe that. Do you know what your students need to make them feel the most welcomed in not only the classroom, but as a learner in your room? Are they willing to fail in front of you? What are the ways that you have made their classroom safe that failure is a part of it? What if the students knew that failure was expected, respected, inspected, then corrected? When you make a mistake, I don't start with like correcting your mistake. I'm like, oh, you know what? That's an interesting mistake. Let me inspect that. I appreciate you going and trying to do that your best and making that effort. Now let me figure out how I can look a little deeper and see what mistakes you made. Then I'm gonna help you make it better. But what if every failure turned into a correction? Therefore, I don't wanna make any mistakes because I hate feeling the feeling of corrected. How about we accept the mistakes, respect them, inspect them, then correct them? That's number 4. Okay? I don't know number 5 yet. 5 would be, what would 5 be? 5 be teachers, what you can do right now? Teachers, what can you 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 do right now? That would be, oh, mask. Okay, yeah, we can't talk about this without talking about the mask. How dare you, Ashanti Branch? There's nothing more important than number 5. Now listen, I'm going 5 last because I don't want to have an ego that my thing should be first. But number 5, I think, is the most important. Number 5 is your students should make a mask as a part of the Million Mask Movement. Why am I whispering? Your students should make a mask as a part of the Million Mask Movement. We created this activity, this campaign, while I was a dean at a high school with young men who were doing not well academically. But that mask was a way of making a level playing field that, guess what? You're not alone in here. What you're going through, people in this room could probably understand. Maybe they're going through the same thing or worse things, or they've gone through things before. The mask is an activity, a tool of self-reflection. And not only do you make that mask with your students, but you begin to make sure that your students know that you see them more than what you can see on the outside. When they're goofing off in class, I see you more than what you're goofing off. You didn't do your homework, I see you more than what you didn't do in the homework. You did bad on the test, I see you more than doing bad on the test. I see you as more than what I can see. That changes conversations. And so when we have a conversation with someone about the mask, the front of the mask are the things we gladly let the world see. The back of the mask are the things that we don't talk about much. That changes the narrative. And when I go to a student who's having a moment, I'm like, hey, let me tell you what I'm seeing. I don't know what really is going on, but let me tell you what I'm seeing. Because on this end, from this lens, I'm seeing you've been late every day this week. You've done no homework. You're goofing off in class. Like, these are the behaviors of somebody who doesn't really care about their education. That's what I'm seeing on the outside. But what am I missing? Because I think of you more than this. And that begins a conversation with a student that see that I'm not judging you based on what I see. I'm telling you what I see, but I want to know what I'm missing to understand you better. Man, wouldn't that be powerful? Wouldn't it be powerful, our relationship with students started on a playing field where I'm not here to dominate you and push you down. I'm here to learn from you and pull you forward, push you up. That's what it's about. So I hope these 5 tips were beneficial to you. I want to repeat them again, but I don't want to. I don't remember them. They're not written on my notes here yet. You know what I mean? So I don't have them all 5 in one concise thing. Number 1, I'm not gonna be able to do it. Okay, so here you're gonna see all 5 of them right here. And what we hope is that you will begin using these tools today. Don't wait till winter break. Don't wait till Thanksgiving break. Start now, building those connections, because I think there's more to you And anybody can see by looking at you. And there's more to each one of your students than you can see by looking at them. Thanks, folks. See you soon.